They thought kneeling before the council would break me. They thought I was nothing. A broken Omega with no wolf, no power, no future. Just another servant girl who dared to dream beyond her station. But they didn't see the fire sleeping in my veins. And the AlphaKing, he wasn't searching for a mate. He was hunting for the one weapon that could save his family from eternal ice. The council chamber stretched before me like a cathedral of judgment.
Cool.
Stone walls climbed toward
but we're
vaulted
together.
ceilings, torches casting dancing shadows across faces that held nothing but contempt. 100 pack members filled the gallery, 100 witnesses to my humiliation, 100 voices that would whisper my shame across the kingdom. I knelt on cold marble wrists bound in silver chains. The metal burned against my skin, suppressing what little wolf I had left. My dress, the plain gray uniform of a kitchen maid, hung in tatters. 3 days in the dungeons had left me hollow-eyed and trembling, but I kept my spine straight. I would not cry. Not here, not in front of them. Chief Counselor Marcus stood at the high podium, his silver beard gleaming in firelight. His voice boomed across the chamber, each word a nail in my coffin. Seraphine Ashbourne, you stand accused of arson, of attempting to murder Princess Isolda Shadowmere's sister, to our king heir to the Northern Territories, beloved daughter of this realm. The crowd murmured, gasps, whispers, judgment rendered before evidence was even presented. I stared at the floor, focused on breathing, in, out, in, out. The evidence is irrefutable, Marcus continued. 20 witnesses saw you in the courtyard with a torch, the same courtyard that erupted in flames, the same flames that nearly claimed our princess's life. My throat tightened. I wanted to scream that it was an accident, that I never meant for the fire to spread like that, consuming stone and silk with equal hunger, that something inside me had broken that night, something I didn't understand and the flames had answered. But words meant nothing here. I was Omega, the lowest rank. My voice carried no weight. What say you? Marcus demanded. I lifted my head, met his cold gaze. I dropped the torch by accident. My voice came out steady despite the fear clawing at my ribs. I was startled. I never intended harm to anyone. Startled by what? Heat crept up my neck. The memory of that night crashed over me like a wave. Cassian's laugh. Isolda's red lips curved in triumph. The casual cruelty of his words. I saw something. Someone. It shocked me. Convenient, Marcus sneered. You expect this council to believe. The doors at the far end of the chamber exploded open. Silence fell like a blade, every head turned, every breath held. He strode through those doors like vengeance given form. King Theren, Shadowmere. 6.5 feet of pure alpha dominance wrapped in a black suit that cost more than most wolves earned in a year. Dark hair swept back from a face carved from shadow and starlight. A scar cut through his left eyebrow, a reminder of battles won and enemies destroyed. His eyes, normally obsidian black, glowed with golden wolf fire. The air pressure changed. Wolves in the gallery bowed their heads instinctively, unable to meet the weight of his aura. Even Marcus took a step back. Theron's gaze swept the room, cataloging, assessing, judging. Then his eyes found me. Everything stopped. I couldn't breathe, couldn't move, couldn't think beyond the sudden, overwhelming presence of him filling every corner of my awareness. He walked toward me. Each footfall echoed against marble like a heartbeat, like a countdown, like fate itself moving into position. And as he passed, his scent hit me. Cedar and winter rain, and something wild, untamed, ancient. It wrapped around me, through me, waking parts of myself I thought long dead. My dormant wolf stirred for the first time in years. Heat spread through my chest, not painful, not frightening, just there, present, real. Theren stopped beside the podium, turned to face the council. His jaw was granite, his posture absolute authority. Proceed, he said quietly. Marcus fumbled with his papers. Your Majesty, this Omega is accused of. I heard the charges. Theron's voice cut through the stammering like a knife. Present your evidence. Marcus gestured to the guards. They brought forward witnesses, servants who had been in the courtyard that night. Each one repeated the same story. Seraphine Ashbourne was seen with a torch. The fire began where she stood. Princess Isolde barely escaped with her life. I listened to my own condemnation and felt nothing. Numbness had set in. Acceptance. This was how my story would end. In chains. In shame. In silence. Then they brought him out. General Cassian Stormweave entered through the side door flanked by guards. still in his military uniform despite being under arrest for minor charges, still carrying himself with the arrogance of a man who believed the world owed him everything. My fated mate, the one the moon goddess herself had chosen for me, the one who destroyed me. He was beautiful. I had always thought that even now. Golden hair that caught the light, broad shoulders that spoke of strength and protection, blue eyes that once looked at me with something I mistook for love. Those same eyes now held nothing but disdain. General Stormweave, Marcus intoned, you have intimate knowledge of the accused. Please share your testimony. Cassian stepped forward, didn't look at me, didn't acknowledge my existence beyond what was necessary for his performance. Your honors, his voice rang clear across the chamber. Confident, compelling. I have known Seraphine Ashbourne for 2 years. We share a fated bond, yes, but I have told her repeatedly that I do not want her. The words landed like physical blows, even though I knew they were coming, even though I had already bled from these particular wounds. Our bond is an accident of fate, he continued, not a choice I would make. She is beneath my station, beneath my expectations. I remained tied to her only out of pity, out of fear that if I rejected the bond outright, she would do something desperate. Murmurs rippled through the crowd, sympathetic looks aimed at Cassian. Poor General saddled with such an unworthy mate. She became obsessed, he said, and now he did glance at me, just once, long enough for me to see the lie shining in his eyes. Unstable? When I made clear I had no intention of claiming her properly, she broke. My nails dug into my palms. Drew blood. I bit my tongue to keep from screaming the truth. That he had pursued me, that he had whispered promises of forever, that every smile, every touch, every tender word had been real to me, an illusion for him. I believe, Cassian said solemnly, that Seraphine set that fire deliberately, that she knew Princess Isolda was in the courtyard, that she intended murder out of jealous rage. No. That is a lie. The words tore from my throat before I could stop them. I surged against my chains, silver burning my wrists. You know it was an accident, you know. Silence, Marcus bellowed. You will speak when spoken to. But I couldn't stop. 2 years of suppressed rage and grief and betrayal came pouring out. He's lying. He told me he loved me. A guard backhanded me across the face. My head snapped sideways. Blood filled my mouth. The crowd gasped, but no one intervened. This was justice in their eyes. An Omega who dared speak out of turn deserved whatever punishment came. I slumped in my chains, tasting copper and defeat. As you can see, Cassian said smoothly, she is unstable. Your honors, I believe the only appropriate sentence is death, for the safety of the pack, for justice for our beloved princess. Marcus nodded gravely. The council agrees. Seraphine Ashbourne, you are sentenced to no. One word, spoken quietly, but it silenced the entire chamber. Theren moved. In 3 strides, he crossed the space between the podium and where I knelt. I didn't have time to react, to breathe, to do anything except feel his hand close around my throat. The crowd gasped. Shock rippled outward in waves. His grip was firm, visible, theatrical, but not painful. His thumb rested against my pulse point, feeling my heart race beneath his touch. I froze. Every instinct screamed danger, but beneath the fear to my something else stirred. Recognition, belonging, the sense that this hand around my throat felt more right than anything Cassian had ever done. Theren leaned down, his breath ghosted across my ear. Warm, controlled, devastating. Act like you're mine, he whispered, so low only I could hear. Or die right here, your choice, little flame. My heart slammed against my ribs. Little flame. No one had ever called me that. No one except Queen Elowin. 3 years ago. In the kitchens, when she touched the burn scar on my shoulder and smiled like she knew a secret. I didn't understand, couldn't process. But survival instinct kicked in hard and fast. I leaned into his grip instead of pulling away. Tilted my head to expose more of my throat in submission. Not to the council, to him. Theron's eyes flashed pure gold. His wolf was close to the surface. So close I could feel it pressing against his skin, wanting out, wanting to claim and protect and possess. He turned to face the council, hand still wrapped around my throat like a collar. Like ownership. This Omega, he said, voice cutting through the shocked silence, belongs to me. The chamber erupted. Voices overlapped in confusion and outrage. Marcus sputtered. Your Majesty, she tried to kill your sister. My sister was never in danger. Only the fireboom was an accident caused by a broken fated bond. Theron's tone could have frozen hellfire. General Stormweave just admitted to publicly humiliating his mate, to telling her he didn't want her, to driving her to desperation, and you wonder why she lost control. Cassian's face went pale. Your Majesty, I was only being honest. You were being cruel. Theron's gaze fixed on Cassian like a predator sighting prey. You violated the sacred laws of fated bonds. You abused your mate in full view of pack witnesses. That is the only crime I see here. But the fire will be investigated properly, without bias, without predetermined outcomes. Theron's fingers tightened just slightly against my throat, possessive, claiming, this Omega is under my protection now. She is mine. Anyone who touches her answers to me. Anyone who harms her dies by my hand. The promise in those words sent shivers down my spine. Not fear, something else entirely. Marcus tried again. Your Majesty, with all respect, this is highly irregular. I am your king. Theron's voice dropped to something soft and deadly. I do not require your permission. I am informing you of my decision. Seraphine Ashbourne is mine. The fire was an accident. General Stormweave will be investigated for bond abuse and perjury. He turned his head, looked down at me. Those burning golden eyes met mine, and I saw something flicker in their depths. Not cruelty, not possession, desperation. He needed me, truly needed me, for something beyond this moment, beyond this trial, beyond anything I could comprehend. You will release her, Theren commanded. Now. Guards scrambled to obey. Silver chains fell away from my wrists. The burns they left behind throbbed, but I barely felt them. I was too focused on the hand still resting against my throat, on the heat of him, on the impossible reality that the AlphaKing himself had just claimed me in front of the entire council. Theren pulled me to my feet. I swayed weak from days without food, and his other arm came around my waist, steadying me, supporting me, making sure everyone could see exactly what I meant to him. Come, he said, still quiet, still controlled, still absolutely terrifying in his authority. He led me toward the doors. Every eye tracked our movement. I could feel their judgment, their confusion, their envy. Whispers followed in our wake like hungry ghosts. Just before we reached the exit, Theren paused, looked back at Cassian. General Stormweave, you are hereby stripped of your rank pending investigation into charges of fated bond abuse, public humiliation of a mate, and perjury before the council. You will be held in confinement until trial. Cassian's face went white, then red. Fury twisted his handsome features into something ugly. You can't. This is because you want her. You're protecting her because she is mine. Theron's voice was soft as silk and sharp as broken glass. And I protect what's mine. The doors closed behind us. The hallway beyond was blessedly empty, cool stone, flickering torches, the distant sound of running water. Silence wrapped around us like a blanket after the chaos of the trial. Theren didn't release me. His hand slipped from my throat to my elbow, guiding me forward. We walked in silence, our footsteps echoing in perfect rhythm. Finally, I found my voice. Why? He didn't answer immediately. Just kept walking, kept that firm grip on my arm, like he was afraid I might disappear if he let go. Why did you save me? I tried again. I'm nobody, just a kitchen maid, just a broken Omega who can't even shift properly. Why would you? Because I need you. The words were simple, honest, devastating. I stopped walking, forced him to stop too, turned to face him fully for the first time. Up close, he was even more overwhelming. Taller, broader, eyes that seemed to see straight through skin and bone to the terrified, confused, desperate woman beneath. Need me for what? His jaw tightened. A muscle ticked in his cheek. For a long moment, he just stared at me, and I saw a war raging behind those eyes. Truth versus necessity. Honesty versus strategy. I can't tell you yet, he said finally, but I swear on my crown, on my pack, on everything I am. I will explain soon. That's not... I know. He lifted his hand, hesitated, then gently tucked a strand of blood-matted hair behind my ear. The tenderness of the gesture made my throat tight. I'm asking you to trust me. I know I have no right. I know you have every reason to hate all powerful males after what Cassian did. But I need you to believe that I will not hurt you. I will not use you the way he did. His thumb brushed my cheek, so careful, like I was made of glass. I need you, little flame. More than you know, more than I can explain. But I swear to you I will make this right. I should have pulled away, should have demanded answers, should have run while I still had the chance. But something in his voice, in his eyes, in the way his hand trembled just slightly against my skin made me believe him. "Okay," I whispered. Relief flooded his expression. "Okay, I'll trust you. For now." He exhaled like he'd been holding his breath. "Thank you." We started walking again, through corridors I'd never been allowed in before, past tapestries and paintings and doorways that led to rooms I couldn't even imagine. The East Wing, the royal quarters, the domain of kings and queens and power I could never touch. Until now, Theren stopped in front of massive oak doors carved with symbols I didn't recognize, pushed them open to reveal a chamber that stole my breath. Huge, beautiful, warm. A four-poster bed dominated the center, draped in midnight blue silk. Windows stretched floor to ceiling, showing a view of gardens lit by moonlight. A fireplace already blazed with welcoming heat. Rugs soft enough to sink into. Furniture that looked like it cost more than my entire life. "This is—" I couldn't finish the sentence. "Yours," Theren said, "for as long as you need it." I turned to him, confused. "But I thought you said I was yours. That I had to act like we're together, yes." He stepped inside, gestured for me to follow. "The council has spies everywhere. They'll be watching, reporting. We need them to believe that I claimed you because I want you, not because I need you for something else." Understanding clicked into place. "It's an act. In public, yes." He moved to the fireplace, stared into the flames. The light cast shadows across his face, making him look older. "Tired, alone. In private, you're safe. I won't force anything. Won't demand anything you're not willing to give. But in public? In public? You're mine, my chosen Omega, my lover." The words seemed to cost him something. "You'll need to play the part. Sit on my lap at dinners. Let me touch you. Smile at me like you want to be there." My stomach twisted. Not with fear, with something more complicated. "And if I'm not good at pretending." He turned to face me, crossed the space between us in 2 strides, lifted my chin with one finger, forcing me to meet his burning gaze. "Then we learn together," he said softly. "I've never done this either. Never claimed anyone. Never wanted anyone close enough to make this believable. Why me? Because you're exactly who I need." His thumb traced my jawline. "And because when I touched you in that chamber, when I caught your scent, my wolf recognized you." My breath caught. "Recognized me as what?" His eyes flashed gold. "As mine." The word hung between us, heavy, significant, terrifying. Before I could respond, a knock sounded at the door. Theren stepped back immediately, breaking the moment. "And enter." 2 maids hurried in, heads bowed. They carried towels, robes, a tray of food and wine. "Your Majesty," what the first one said, "we're here to prepare the lady." "Prepare me for what?" I asked. The maid glanced at Theren. He nodded permission. "Dinner," she said, "with the king and guests." Theron's expression went carefully neutral. "My sister will be there, and General Stormweep before his confinement." Ice flooded my veins. "You want me to have dinner with them after everything?" "I need you to." His voice was gentle but firm. "The council's spies will be watching. This is our chance to convince them that you're truly mine, that the fire was an accident born of Cassian's cruelty, not your malice." "I don't know if I can." "You can." He stepped close again, cupped my face in both hands. "You survived 3 days in my dungeons. You survived Cassian's betrayal. You survived the council. You can survive one dinner." His faith in me felt like armor, like strength I didn't know I possessed. "Okay," I whispered. "That's my girl." He pressed a kiss to my forehead, so quick and gentle, I almost thought I imagined it. Then he was moving toward the door. "The maids will help you prepare. I'll return in an hour." He left. The door closed. I stood in the center of that beautiful room, shaking, confused, terrified, and somehow more alive than I'd felt in years. The maids sprang into action. One drew a bath while the other laid out clothes. They worked with quiet efficiency, and I realized with a start that they were the council's spies Theren had mentioned. Every word I said would be reported. Every reaction cataloged. I said nothing. Just let them guide me to the bathing chamber. The water was hot, scented with something floral and expensive. It stung the wounds on my wrists, the bruises on my face, the countless small hurts accumulated over 3 days of captivity. But it also washed away the dungeon filth, the fierce sweat, the blood and tears and hopelessness. I sank beneath the surface and let myself float for just a moment, weightless, suspended between what I was and what I might become. When I emerged, the maids were waiting with soft towels and gentle hands. They dried me carefully, applied salve to my burns, combed the tangles from my hair. Then they brought out the dress, deep crimson silk that shimmered like living flame in the firelight, cut low enough to show collarbones I'd never thought beautiful, fitted through the waist before flowing to the floor. Gold thread traced patterns along the hem like embers dancing. "I can't wear this," I breathed. I'm just—" "His Majesty chose it himself," the first maid said, firm, brooking no argument. "You'll wear it." They dressed me like I was a doll, fastened clasps, adjusted seams, made the fabric move with my body like it had been sewn for me alone. Then jewelry, a gold necklace with a fire opal that rested perfectly against my throat, matching earrings, delicate chains that wrapped around my wrists, covering the silver burns. They sat me at a vanity I hadn't noticed before and started on my face. Powder to hide the bruises, color to bring life to my pale cheeks, something dark around my eyes that made them look huge and haunted and strangely compelling. My hair they left mostly down, just pinning back a few pieces to frame my face. When they finished, they turned me toward the mirror. I didn't recognize the woman staring back at me. She was beautiful. Not in the perfect, untouchable way of highborn wolves, but in a raw, fierce, burning way that made my breath catch. She looked like someone who could stand beside a king. She looked like someone worth claiming. "You'll do," the second maid said with a small smile. A knock at the door. My heart jumped into my throat. "Enter," I said. My voice sounded steadier than I felt. Theren stepped through the doorway and stopped dead. His eyes went wide, then molten, gold bleeding through black until his wolf shone through completely. He didn't speak, just stared. His gaze traveled from my face down the crimson silk lingering on the necklace at my throat, the gold wrapping my wrists the way the dress moved when I breathed. "You look," he trailed off, swallowed hard. "You look like fire itself." Heat crept up my neck. I'd never been looked at like this, like I was something precious and powerful and terrifying all at once. "Is it too much?" I asked. I told them I couldn't. "It's perfect." He crossed to me in 3 strides, offered his hand. "Are you ready?" "No, not even close." "Yes," I said. His fingers closed around mine. Warm, strong, steady. "Remember," he murmured, low enough the maids couldn't hear. "You're mine. Act like you want to be, Lay. Let me touch you. Don't pull away. And if I can't, then I'll make it easier. Just follow my lead, little flame." That name again. It settled into my chest like an anchor, like a promise. We walked through the corridors together. His hand never left mine. Each step brought us closer to the dining hall, closer to Cassian, closer to the performance that would determine whether I lived or died. The massive doors loomed ahead. I could hear voices beyond, laughter, the clink of glasses, normal sounds that felt impossibly distant from my reality. Theren stopped, turned to me. His free hand came up to cup my cheek. "Breathe," he said softly. "You're not alone in this. I'm right here." I leaned into his palm, let myself take comfort in his warmth, his strength, his unwavering presence. "Okay," I whispered. His thumb brushed across my lower lip, just once. The touch sent lightning through my veins. "When we walk through those doors," he said, "everything changes. They'll see you as mine. Mine to protect. Mine to cherish. Mine to claim." "I know. Do you—" His eyes searched mine. "Because once I start this, once I touch you the way I'll need to, there's no going back. The pack will know. The council will know. Everyone will believe you belong to me." "I understand. And you're willing—" I thought about Cassian's cruelty, the council's judgment, the 3 days alone in darkness wondering if I'd see another sunrise. I thought about this man who saved me when he didn't have to, who called me little flame like it meant something, who looked at me like I was worth protecting. "Yes," I said, "I'm willing." Something fierce and possessive and almost frightening flared in his eyes. His hand slipped from my cheek to the back of my neck, fingers tangling in my hair. "Then let's make them believe it," he growled. The doors opened, and my old life ended forever. Theron's hand tightened on mine as we crossed the threshold. 2 guards stood against the far wall, motionless, expressionless, but their eyes tracked our every movement. The council's spies required to witness, but forbidden to intervene. I knew other guards waited in the shadows ready to act on Theron's command. This was it, the moment we convinced them or everything fell apart. He led me to the head of the table, pulled out a chair. I moved to sit, but his hand on my waist stopped me. "Not there," he murmured, low enough only I could hear. Before I could ask, he sat in the massive chair himself. Then his hands gripped my waist and lifted me effortlessly onto his lap. I gasped. Heat flooded my face. "Theren, they're watching," he whispered against my ear. His breath warm, his voice steady. "This is how it has to be. Just breathe. Just trust me." His arms settled around my waist, firm, possessive, holding me against the solid wall of his chest. I could feel his heartbeat through the layers of fabric between us, steady, controlled. While mine raced like a wild thing trying to escape, I forced myself to relax, to lean back instead of pulling away, to let my head rest against his shoulder like this was natural, normal, desired. His other hand found mine, threaded our fingers together. The touch sent sparks dancing across my skin. "Good girl," he breathed. So quiet, just for me. The approval in those words made something warm unfurl in my chest. Servants appeared from hidden doorways. They brought wine, first filling crystal glasses with deep red liquid, then bread still steaming from the ovens. Butter and honey and preserves in small dishes. Theren reached for a piece of bread, tore it in half, spread honey across the soft interior with deliberate slowness. Then he brought it to my lips. "Eat," he said, still quiet, still commanding. I opened my mouth, let him feed me. The bread was warm and sweet and melted on my tongue. I should have felt humiliated, infantilized, reduced. Instead, I felt cared for, protected, precious. His eyes never left my face as I chewed and swallowed, watching, memorizing, like I was the most fascinating thing in his entire kingdom. "More," I nodded, couldn't seem to find words. He fed me another piece, then took one for himself. The intimacy of sharing food this way, of his fingers brushing my lips, of our breath mingling in the space between us, made the rest of the room fade to nothing. Until the doors opened again, I stiffened, felt Theren's arm tighten around me in response. Princess Isolda swept in first. Black silk dress that clung to her perfect figure. Dark hair cascading in waves down her back. Red lips curved in something that might have been a smile if it had reached her eyes. She was beautiful. The kind of beautiful that made mortal wolves look away, unable to bear the comparison. Behind her walked Cassian. My breath caught. Painful. Sharp. He wore civilian clothes instead of his uniform. Simple shirt and dark trousers. No rank insignia, no medals. The visible proof of his fall from grace. But he still carried himself like a general. Shoulders back, head high. Every inch the warrior who had once been the kingdom's pride, Sonea. His eyes found me immediately. Widened, then narrowed with something dark and furious. I couldn't look away, couldn't breathe. The man who had whispered promises in my ear, who had held me through nightmares, who had made me believe I was worthy of love, stood there hating me for crimes I didn't commit. Theren's hand cupped my jaw, turned my face away from Cassian, toward him. "Look at me," he commanded, soft but absolute. Not him, me. I met those burning golden eyes and felt the world steady. "He doesn't matter anymore," Theren said, loud enough to carry. "You're mine now." The claim echoed through the hall, deliberate, public, unquestionable. Isolda took her seat with fluid grace. Cassian sat beside her, jaw clenched so tight I could see the muscle jumping. More food arrived. Roasted meat that fell off the bone. Vegetables glazed with butter and herbs. Potatoes mashed to silk, enough to feed 20 people, presented for 4. Theren cut a piece of meat, brought it to my mouth. I ate, barely tasted it, too aware of Cassian's glare burning into my skin. "Wine," Theren offered. I nodded. He lifted the glass to my lips. "Let me sip." The rich taste spread across my tongue, warming me from the inside out. Across the table, Isolda reached for her own glass. Her fingers brushed Cassian's hand. Deliberate, calculated, he smiled at her. That same smile he used to give me. My chest tightened. Not with jealousy, with something colder, clearer. Recognition of exactly how disposable I had been. Isolde leaned closer to Cassian, whispered something that made him laugh. The sound cut through me like glass. I remembered that laugh, how it used to feel like sunshine, how I would do anything to earn it. Now it just sounded cruel. Isolde fed him a piece of fruit. He caught her wrist, pressed a kiss to her palm. They were putting on a show, just like Theren and I were, except their performance was designed to hurt, to remind me of everything I'd lost, everything I'd never really had. Theren's hand moved from my waist to my hair, fingers threading through the strands, the touch gentle, soothing. "Breathe," he murmured against my temple. "Don't give them the satisfaction." I drew a shaky breath, then another. Isolda's laugh echoed across the table. Light, musical, perfect. Brother, she said, her voice carrying easily. It's been too long since we've dined together like this. Just family. Her gaze flickered to me. Just for a second. Long enough to communicate that I would never be family. Indeed, Theren replied. His tone gave nothing away. And with such interesting company. Isolda's smile sharpened. Tell me, Seraphine, how are you finding in the East Wing quite different from the servants' quarters, I imagine? The dig was subtle but unmistakable. I opened my mouth, closed it, had no idea what to say that wouldn't make everything worse. Theren answered for me. She finds it exactly as it should be. Comfortable, safe, home. That last word hit like a hammer. Home. Not guest quarters, not temporary arrangement. Home. Cassian's fork clattered against his plate. Your Majesty, if I may speak freely, you may not. Theron's voice could have cut steel. You are here as a courtesy before your confinement. I suggest you use this time wisely. In silence. Red crept up Cassian's neck, his hands fisted on the table, but he said nothing. The meal continued in tense quiet. Theren kept feeding me small bites, kept touching me, his hands never straying to anything inappropriate, but never absent either. A brush of fingers against my arm, a palm on my thigh, his cheek resting against my hair. Every touch felt like a brand, a claim, a declaration. And despite everything, despite the performance, despite knowing this was all strategy, my body responded. Heat pooled low in my belly. My skin became hypersensitive, aware of every point of contact. The mate bond, growing stronger with proximity, with touch, no, not mate bond. Cassian was my fated mate, and I felt nothing when I looked at him now. This was something else, something I didn't understand. Isolda and Cassian's flirtation grew bolder. She sat practically in his lap now, his arm around her waist, their heads bent together, sharing whispered secrets and intimate smiles. It should have destroyed me, should have made me weep with loss. Instead, I felt nothing, empty, like watching strangers perform a play I'd already seen. Theren must have sensed my detachment. His hand slid from my hair to cup the back of my neck, the touch proprietary. Grounding. Are you well? He asked, quiet, concerned. I turned to look at him, really look at him, the strong line of his jaw, the scar through his eyebrow that made him look dangerous, the eyes that watched me with an intensity that stole my breath. I'm fine, I whispered. His thumb stroked the sensitive skin below my ear. Liar. A small smile tugged at my lips despite everything. Maybe. What are you thinking? I glanced at Cassian and Isolda, then back to Theren. That I wasted 2 years on the wrong man. Something flared in his eyes, possessive, satisfied, hungry. Not wasted, he said. That pain brought you here, to this moment, to me. The words wrapped around my heart like a fist. I should have been afraid of how much I wanted them to be true. Cassian chose that moment to kiss Isolda, full on the mouth, deep, claiming. His hand fisted in her hair the way he used to grip mine. The display was obscene, deliberate, meant to shatter me. Something inside me snapped, not with pain, with fury. How dare he? How dare he humiliate me, lie about me, nearly get me killed, and then sit there, flaunting his new lover like I meant nothing. I turned in Theron's lap, straddled him. My hands came up to frame his face. His eyes went wide with shock. Seraphine, I kissed him, not gently, not tentatively. I kissed him like I was drowning, and he was air, like he was the only real thing in a world of lies. His surprise lasted maybe half a second. Then he kissed me back. Oh gods, oh gods. His arms banded around my waist, crushing me against him. His mouth claimed mine with a hunger that made my toes curl. He tasted like wine and darkness and something wild I couldn't name. Heat exploded between us. Not metaphorical, actual heat. Light. Gold light erupted from where our bodies touched, spreading outward in waves. I felt it slam into my chest, into my bones, into my very soul. The mate bond, snapping into place with the force of a lightning strike. This was what it was supposed to feel like, what I'd never felt with Cassian, what I didn't know was missing until this moment. Complete, whole, right. Theren made a sound deep in his chest, half growl, half groan, his hands fisted in my hair, angling my head so he could deepen the kiss. Taking, claiming, consuming. I didn't care that we had an audience, didn't care about propriety or performance or anything beyond the feeling of his mouth on mine and the bond singing between us. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, His eyes blazed pure molten gold. Seraphine, he breathed, wonder and shock and something almost like fear in his voice. We're true mates, I finished, dazed, overwhelmed. The bond hummed between us, alive, demanding, real. A chair scraped violently across stone. Cassian stood face purple with rage. This is ridiculous. The words shattered the moment, brought reality crashing back. I turned to look at him, still seated in Theren's lap, still wrapped in his arms. Cassian stared at us like we'd committed murder before his eyes. You can't possibly believe this charade. He's using you, Seraphine. Can't you see that he doesn't want you? He's the king. He could have anyone. Why would he choose a broken Omega with no wolf, no power, no bow? Enough. Theren's voice was soft, deadly. But Cassian was beyond caring, beyond reason. She's nothing, he shouted. She tried to kill the princess. She's unstable, obsessed, delusional. If she thinks a king would actually... Theren moved faster than I could track. One moment I was in his lap. The next I was standing safely to the side, and Theren had Cassian by the throat pinned against the wall. The two spy guards didn't move, just watched with those dead, calculating eyes. The guards in shadows, however, stepped forward slightly ready. You forget yourself, General. Theren's voice was conversational, pleasant, absolutely terrifying. Oh, wait, you're not a general anymore, are you? You're nothing. A disgraced soldier awaiting trial for crimes against the sacred bond. Cassian clawed at the hand around his throat. I saved her life during the Ice Wolf attack. I pulled her from the frozen ground. She would have died without me. And you've held that over her head ever since, haven't you? Theren's eyes glowed. Used her gratitude as a leash. Made her believe she owed you love because you performed your duty as a soldier. I did love her, Cassian's voice broke. Desperate. I tried, but she's so weak, so pathetic, so magnificent. Theren released him, stepped back, adjusted his cuffs with deliberate calm. She is magnificent, and you were too blind to see it. That is not her failure. That is yours. He turned his back on Cassian, dismissive, final. Guards, he said mildly. The ones from the shadows step fully into view now. I believe the former general has had enough dinner. Take him to his quarters. He will stand trial at dawn, 2 days hence. The guards grabbed Cassian by the arms. Wait, he said, then louder. Wait, you can't do this. I have rights. I demand to speak before the council. You'll have your chance, Theren said, at trial, where you will answer for every lie you told, every moment of pain you caused, every law you broke. Cassian fought against the guard's grip, looked at me with something that might have been desperation. Seraphine, please tell them. Tell them I loved you, that we were happy, that this is all a misunderstanding, please. I looked at the man who had been my whole world, who I would have died for, who I believed hung the moon and stars, and I felt nothing but pity. You never loved me, I said quietly. You loved the way I worshipped you. There's a difference. Something broke in his face. The guards dragged him toward the door. His last words echoed through the hall. You'll regret this when he's done using you, when he throws you aside. You'll remember that I was the one who truly... The door slammed shut, cutting off whatever lie he was about to tell. Silence fell heavy as a shroud. Isolda still sat at the table, wineglass in hand, expression unreadable. Theren crossed to me, cupped my face in both hands. Are you all right? I nodded, couldn't seem to find words. His thumb brushed away a tear I hadn't realized had fallen. You did perfectly. So perfectly. The two council spy guards remained at their posts, still watching, still recording every moment to report back. Theren pulled me close, rested his forehead against mine. This changes things, he murmured, too low for anyone else to hear. The true mate bond, I didn't expect, I thought it was just chemistry, just attraction. But this is real. I know, I whispered back. We need to talk, really talk, but not here, not now. I understood. The guards, the performance, the eyes always watching. He pressed a kiss to my forehead. Go back to your chambers. Rest. I'll come to you later. What about... I glanced at Isolda. She and I have matters to discuss. Nothing that concerns you tonight. The dismissal stung, even though I knew it was for show. I curtsied, awkward, unpracticed. Your Majesty, his eyes flashed. Not anger, something else. Theren, my name is Theren, use it. Theren, I repeated. The name felt like power on my tongue. I left the dining hall acutely aware of the guard's eyes tracking my departure. My feet knew the way back to my chambers now. Through corridors I'd walked just hours ago. Everything felt different. The bond pulsed in my chest, warm, alive, tethering me to the man I'd just kissed in front of witnesses. True mates, not Cassian, never Cassian. Theren. The door to my chamber stood closed. I pushed it open, stepped inside, and finally let myself breathe. I made it 3 steps before my knees gave out. I sank onto the edge of the bed, shaking. Not from fear, from sheer overwhelming emotion. Everything that had happened in the last few hours crashed over me like a wave. The trial, the claim, the transformation, the dinner, the kiss, the bond. I touched my lips, still feeling the ghost of his mouth on mine, still tasting wine and heat and promise. This was real. This was happening. The AlphaKing was my true mate, and nothing would ever be the same. I don't know how long he sat there. Time moved strangely, syrup slow and lightning fast all at once. A knock at the door made me jump. "Come in," I called. My voice sounded raw, tired. The door opened. Princess Isolda stepped through. I shot to my feet, heart hammering, fight or flight instinct screaming. She closed the door softly behind her, studied me with those calculating dark eyes. "You look terrified," she observed. "Good, you should be." My hands fisted at my sides. "If you've come to gloat, I've come to apologize." The words stopped me cold. "What?" Isolde moved to the small table near the window, set down a bottle of wine and 2 glasses she'd been carrying, poured generous amounts into both. "Sit," she said, not a command. A request. I didn't move. "I don't understand." "I know, that's why I'm here." She picked up both glasses, held one out to me. "Please sit, drink, and let me explain." This had to be a trap, some kind of trick to get me to confess something, incriminate myself, give her ammunition against Theren. But curiosity won over caution. I crossed to the table, took the offered glass, sat stiffly in one of the chairs. Isolde took the other, raised her glass to her lips and drank deeply. Proof it wasn't poisoned, I supposed. I sipped. Mine, the wine was rich, complex, expensive. It burned pleasantly down my throat. "I am not your enemy," Isolde said finally. "Though I imagine that's difficult to believe, given everything that's happened." "You seduced my mate," I said flatly. "You were with him in that courtyard. You let him humiliate me in front of half the staff." "Yes, I did all those things." No denial, no excuses. And I would do them again. Anger flared hot in my chest. I started to stand. "Wait." Her hand shot out. Didn't touch me, just hovered, pleading. "Please, let me finish." Something in her voice made me hesitate, sink back into the chair. Isolde withdrew her hand, took another long drink of wine. When she spoke again, her voice was quieter, almost gentle. "What I'm about to tell you cannot leave this room. If the council knew, if anyone outside this family knew, it would mean death. For me, for Theren. For others who are innocent and helpless and depending on us." My mouth went dry. "I don't understand." "You will." She set down her glass, folded her hands in her lap. 5 years ago, during the Ice Wolf attack that nearly destroyed this kingdom, my mother and brother were killed. Or so everyone believes. I nodded slowly. Everyone knew that story. The tragedy that had made Theren king. That had elevated Cassian from grunt soldier to general when he saved people from the ice. "They're not dead," Isolde said. The world tilted. "What?" "They're not dead. They're frozen, trapped in ice that won't melt, cursed by the Ice Wolf's dying breath to sleep until fire strong enough to rival his ice can break the spell." I stared at her, waiting for the punchline, the cruel joke, the trap. Her expression remained serious, sad, ancient. "The Ice Wolf," she continued, "was not some external threat. He was Prince Lucian Shadowmere, my oldest brother, Theren's twin." The wine glass slipped from my numb fingers, shattered on the floor. Red liquid spread like blood across pale stone. Neither of us moved to clean it. "Lucian and Theren were born 10 minutes apart," Isolde said. "Twins, identical in every way except one. Lucian had ice magic, elemental power, something that hadn't manifested in our bloodline for centuries." My voice came out as a whisper. "What does this have to do with me?" "Everything." Her eyes bored into mine. "When Lucian came of age, our mother had to choose which twin would be heir. Tradition said the firstborn, but Lucian's power frightened her, made her believe he was dangerous, unstable. So she chose Theren. I could see where this was going, could feel the tragedy building like a storm. "Lucian didn't take it well," Isolde said. "He felt betrayed, rejected. On the day of Theren's coronation, he lost control. Ice exploded from him, froze half the palace. killed dozens. Theren fought him, wounded him badly, and with his dying breath, Lucian cursed our mother and 7 innocent children. Tears streamed down Isolda's face now. She made no move to wipe them away. He froze them, not dead, suspended. And before the ice claimed our mother completely, she told Theren something, a secret she'd been keeping, about a kitchen maid with fire in her blood. My hand went to my shoulder, to the burn scar I'd carried since childhood. Fire and ice are opposites, Isolda said. Elemental magic is rare. 1 in a million wolves carry it, but those who do possess power beyond normal comprehension. Our mother recognized your fire. She saw it when she visited the kitchens, saw the way flames bent toward you, the way your skin never burned no matter how close you got to the heat. That's impossible, I breathed. I'm just Omega. I can't even shift properly. I have no power. Your power is sealed. Isolde leaned forward, intent. Locked away by trauma, by fear. By years of being told you were broken, but it's there. Sleeping, waiting. Waiting for what? For heartbreak. Her voice was gentle, apologetic. Elemental magic awakens through extreme emotion. Joy, rage, terror, love. But the strongest catalyst is betrayal, is grief, is pain so deep it cracks the soul open. Understanding crashed over me like ice water. You planned it, I said. Numb. The courtyard. Cassian. All of it. Yes. No hesitation. I seduced Cassian. Made sure he fell for me. Made sure you would see us together. Made sure his words would cut deep enough to break you, and when you broke, when your heart shattered, the fire came. I shot to my feet. The chair clattered backward. You used me. You manipulated me. You destroyed my life to wake some power I didn't even know I had. Yes. She stood too, met my fury with calm acceptance. I did all those things, and I would do them again. Because 7 children are frozen beneath this palace. Innocent, helpless, trapped between life and death. And my mother who raised me, who loved me, who made one terrible choice out of fear is frozen beside them. Her voice broke. I would sacrifice anything, anyone, even myself, to save them. Wouldn't you? I wanted to say no, wanted to rage and scream and reject everything she was saying, but I thought of those 7 children, frozen, aware but unable to move, unable to speak, trapped in ice for 5 years. Yes, I whispered. I would. Isolde's shoulders sagged with relief. Then you understand, Theren and I have been searching for you for years. The kitchen made with fire. When Mother told us about you, we didn't even have your name, just your description. It took time to find you, to confirm, to plan. Cassian was always ambitious, always hungry for power. When we promoted him to general, when I showed interest, he forgot you existed. It was almost too easy. Disgust colored her tone. He was supposed to hurt you, not destroy you, not lie before the council. That part went too far. Why didn't you stop him? I tried, but by the time I realized how deep his lies went, you were already sentenced to death. She moved closer, carefully, like approaching a wounded animal. That's why Theren intervened. That's why he claimed you. That's why we need you alive. To break the curse. Yes, your fire awakened by heartbreak is the only thing powerful enough to melt Lucian's ice, to free our mother, to save those children. She took my hands in hers. Please, I know I have no right to ask. I know what we did was unforgivable, but please help us save them. I looked down at our joined hands, hers pale and perfect, mine scarred and trembling. I don't know how, I said. I barely felt the fire that night. I don't know how to control it, how to use it, how to do what you need. We'll teach you. Theren will teach you. We have time. Do we? I met her eyes. The council is suspicious. Cassian will go to trial. How long before they start asking questions about why the king really claimed me? Long enough, Isolda squeezed my hands. If you're willing to help. I thought of Queen Elowen, the kind woman who had visited me in the kitchens, who had smiled at me like I mattered, who had recognized something in me I couldn't see. I thought of children I'd never met, frozen, suffering, waiting for rescue that might never come. I thought of Theren, the mate bond pulsing warm in my chest, the man who had saved me, who looked at me like I was fire itself. I'll help, I said. I don't know if I can do what you need, but I'll try. Isolde pulled me into a hug, fierce, desperate. Thank you. Thank you. The door burst open. We jumped apart, guilt written across both our faces. Theren stood in the doorway. His eyes swept the scene. The spilled wine, the tears on his sister's face, the way we stood close enough to have been embracing. "Isolda," he said, his voice carefully neutral. "What are you doing here, telling her the truth?" Isolda lifted her chin, defiant. "She deserves to know." His jaw tightened. "We discussed this. I was going to... You were going to wait, keep her in the dark. Let her trust you before revealing how we used her." Isolda's voice was sharp. "She deserved better than that." Theron's gaze shifted to me. "Seraphine." "She told me everything," I said, quiet, steady. "About your mother. About Lucian. About why you really need me." He went very still. Tension radiated from every line of his body. And I'll help you, Benom. And I'll help you." I crossed to him, stopped just within reach. "I'll help you break the curse, save your mother, free the children." His eyes searched mine, looking for anger, for betrayal, for hatred. He found none of those things. "Why?" he asked. Barely a whisper. "Because they're innocent. Because your mother was kind to me when no one else was. Because..." I took a breath. "Because you're my mate, and mates protect each other's families." Something in his expression cracked. The careful control he maintained slipped just for a moment, and I saw the man beneath the crown. Desperate, terrified, alone for so long. He pulled me against him, buried his face in my hair. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I used you. I manipulated you. I let you suffer to serve my own ends. I don't expect forgiveness, don't deserve it. But I swear to you I will spend the rest of my life trying to make this right." I wrapped my arms around him, held on tight. "You were honest with me when you didn't have to be. You told me you needed me. That's more than Cassian ever gave. That's not enough. It's enough for now." I pulled back to look at him. Teach me to control the fire, to use it, to save them." His hand cupped my face. "It won't be easy. The training will be difficult, painful. You'll have to face emotions you've buried, open wounds you've tried to heal." "I know. And even if we succeed, even if you master the fire, breaking the curse might wake Lucian. He's not dead, just dormant, healing in his own ice. If we thaw our mother, we thaw him too. What will happen then?" His expression darkened. "I don't know. He might attack again, might try to finish what he started, might come for the throne. For me, for you. Then we'll face him together." Wonder bloomed in his eyes. "Together." "Yes." I rose on my toes, pressed a kiss to his jaw. "You're not alone anymore, Theren. Neither am I." He kissed me then, not like in the dining hall, all heat and claiming and performance. This was gentle, reverent, a promise sealed in the press of lips. When we parted, Isolda was gone, slipped away silently to give us privacy. Theren rested his forehead against mine. "Cassian's trial will be held the day after tomorrow at dawn. The council will demand swift justice. Once he's dealt with, we can begin your training in earnest." 2 days, I said. "That's not much time." "It will have to be." His eyes glowed gold. "After he's exiled, you'll have 2 weeks to master your fire. Then we attempt to break the curse." Ice slid down my spine. "And if I'm not ready, then we wait." But the council grows impatient. They'll want proof that my claim on you serves the kingdom. We can't delay forever. I thought I would feel satisfaction knowing Cassian would face justice. Instead, I just felt tired. "I don't want revenge," I said quietly. "I just want to be free of him. To move forward, to focus on what matters." Theron's thumb brushed my cheek. "You're extraordinary. You know that. I'm really not." "You are." He kissed my forehead. "Most wolves would want blood, would demand his head. But you just want peace. Is that weak? It's strength beyond anything I've ever seen." He pulled back, took my hands. "I need to go. Deal with the aftermath of tonight. Make sure Cassian is secured. Speak with the council, but I'll come back. Tomorrow. And every day after, I promise. I'll be here." He kissed me one more time, lingering, reluctant to leave. Then he stepped back, toward the door, toward duty and crown and the weight of a kingdom. At the threshold, he paused, looked back. "Seraphine, yes. Thank you for being willing to help, for not hating me, for everything." I smiled, soft, real. "Thank you for saving me, for seeing me, for being honest." He returned the smile. Then he was gone. I stood alone in my chambers, in the silence, in the aftermath. 2 days until Cassian's trial, then 2 weeks of training, then everything would change forever. I crossed to the window, looked out over gardens bathed in moonlight. Somewhere beneath this palace, a queen and 7 children slept in ice, waiting, hoping, depending on me to do what seemed impossible. I touched my shoulder, the burn scar that had marked me since childhood. The Fire Queen Elowen had recognized, the fire that would save them all, or consume us trying. 2 days passed in a blur of preparation and waiting. Cassian's trial was brief, public, brutal in its efficiency. I didn't attend. Couldn't bear to see his face one final time. But Theren told me everything after. The council heard evidence of bond abuse, of public humiliation, of lies told under oath. Cassian confessed, not out of remorse, out of arrogance, believing his status as the hero of the Ice Wolf attack would protect him. It didn't. He was stripped of all rank, honor, or all status, exiled from the kingdom, forbidden to ever return on pain of death. As punishment went, it was merciful. He would live, just not here, not where he could hurt anyone ever again. He asked about you, Theren said quietly. We sat in the gardens, morning light painting everything gold. Before they took him away, asked if he could see you, say goodbye. What did you tell him? That you had nothing to say to him, that he lost the right to your attention the moment he chose cruelty over love. I leaned against Theren's shoulder. Thank you. For what? For protecting me. Even from myself, I might have said yes, might have let him hurt me one more time, with false apologies and crocodile tears. You're stronger than you think. I'm learning to be. The real training began that afternoon. Magister Obsidian was older than stone. His hair fell in silver waves past shoulders bent with age and wisdom. Eyes the color of smoke saw through lies, through fear, through the walls I'd built around my heart. He found me in the East Wing Gardens, where early light painted the world in shades of gold and rose. You carry fire, he said without preamble. No greeting, no introduction. But you fear it. Fear what it means. What it makes you. I turned from the fountain I'd been studying, watched water catch sunlight and transform into liquid diamonds. I don't know how to control a thing I barely understand. Then we begin with understanding. He moved closer, each step deliberate, measured. Fire is not your enemy. It is you, the truest part of yourself, the part that refuses to be extinguished no matter how many people tried to snuff it out. His words hit deeper than I expected. Tears pricked my eyes. I'm afraid, I whispered. What if I hurt someone? What if I can't control it and people die because of me? What if you don't try and innocent children remain frozen forever? He tilted his head. Fear of power is just another caged child, and you have lived in cages long enough. Truth resonated through my bones. How do I start? He smiled. Rare, genuine. You already have. The first lesson was simple, brutal, devastating. Feel, not think, not rationalize, not control, just feel. Magister Obsidian had me sit in the center of the garden. Stone beneath me, sky above. Nothing between me and the raw ache of emotion I'd been suppressing for years. Remember the courtyard, he said, the moment the fire came. What did you feel? I closed my eyes, let the memory rise. Cassian's laugh, Isolda's red lips, words that cut like knives. Betrayal, I breathed. Pain, like my heart was being torn out. Good, stay with it. Don't run from the pain. Let it exist. Heat built in my chest, uncomfortable. Growing. The burn scar on my shoulder throbbed. What else? Rage. The word came out harsh, jagged. Fury that he could do this to me, that I meant so little, that 2 years of my life were nothing but a lie. The heat intensified, spread down my arms, into my fingertips, more. I wanted to burn him. The admission felt like confession, like sin. I wanted to burn the whole world for making me believe I was broken when I was just suppressed. Fire erupted from my hands, small, flickering, red gold flames that danced across my palms without burning. I gasped, opened my eyes. Magister Obsidian watched with satisfaction. There, you see, the fire answers emotion, honest emotion. Not the feelings you think you should have, the ones you actually feel. The flames died as quickly as they came, left my hands tingling, warm. Again, he said, we practiced for hours, calling fire, dismissing it, learning its rhythms, its moods, the way it responded to rage and grief, and even surprisingly joy. By midday, I could summon flames at will. Small ones, controlled ones. Nothing like the wild inferno that had consumed the courtyard. But it was a start. Theren found me in the afternoon, exhausted, hands shaking from exertion, but smiling. You're glowing, he said, wonder in his voice. I looked down. Faint golden light pulsed beneath my skin, visible through fabric, through flesh. The fire is integrating, Magister Obsidian explained, becoming part of her instead of something separate. It will take time, but she has the foundation. Theren crossed to me, took my hands. His touch cooled the heat, grounded me. How do you feel? Powerful, I admitted. Scared, exhilarated, all of it. He pressed a kiss to my forehead. You're incredible. The training continued, day after day, building strength, building control. Magister Obsidian taught me to shape flame, to direct them, to make fire obey will instead of emotion. But the real lessons came from Theren. He would sit with me in the evenings, after formal duties, after court, after the weight of the crown became too heavy to bear alone. We would practice together, his calm, his control, teaching me to channel power without letting it consume. Fire and ice are opposites, he explained one night. We sat in my chambers, firelight casting shadows across his face. But they're also mirrors, both elemental, both dangerous, both capable of creation and destruction. Tell me about him, I said. About Lucian. Pain flickered across his expression. We were identical, not just in appearance, in everything. We finished each other's sentences, knew what the other was thinking. It was like having half your soul living outside your body. What changed? Fear. He stared into the flames. Mother saw his ice magic and became afraid he would lose control, hurt people, destroy the kingdom. So she chose me as heir instead. That must have devastated him. It did. I tried to refuse, tried to convince her to choose him, tried to share the throne, but she wouldn't listen. And Lucian, he felt betrayed by both of us, me for accepting, her for rejecting. I took his hand, threaded our fingers together. It wasn't your fault. Wasn't it? He looked at me, eyes haunted. I could have stepped down, could have fought harder, could have done something other than watch my brother break and do nothing to stop it. You were young, caught between duty and love. There was no right answer. Tell that to the 7 children frozen beneath us, to my mother trapped in ice, to Lucian, himself sleeping in mountains neither dead nor alive. I cupped his face, made him look at me. We're going to save them, all of them, including your brother. What if he doesn't want to be saved? What if he wakes and attacks again? Then we face him together, but we give him the choice. That's more than anyone gave him before. Theren kissed me, deep, desperate, pouring years of guilt and grief into the press of lips. When we parted, his eyes glowed gold. The mate bond pulsed strong between us. I don't deserve you, he whispered. Maybe not, but you have me anyway. The second week of training intensified. Magister Obsidian pushed me harder, made me summon bigger flames, hotter flames, flames that could melt stone. My control improved. The fire no longer scared me. It felt like coming home to a part of myself I'd forgotten existed. But one challenge remained, the hardest one. Purity. Ice born of rage can only be broken by fire born of pure emotion, Magister Obsidian explained. Right now your fire is still tainted, still mixed with anger and hurt and unhealed wounds. How do I purify it? He looked at me with ancient knowing eyes. You must sever the bond that poisons you. Cut away the connection to the man who hurt you. Only then will your fire burn clean enough to break Lucian's curse. My stomach dropped. The fated bond. With Cassian. Yes. But I thought the bond was already broken. I feel nothing for him. Nothing at all. Feeling nothing is not the same as being free. He moved closer, placed a weathered hand over my heart. The bond remains, dormant, festering, a wound that never healed properly. You must cut it out, completely, finally. How through sacrifice, through choice, through pain, dread settled cold in my bones. It will hurt. Yes, more than you can imagine. Severing a fated bond, even a broken one, is like tearing out part of your soul. But it is the only way. I thought of the children, of Queen Elowen, of everything riding on my success. When tomorrow, then the day after we attempt the thawing. Not enough time, never enough time, but it would have to be. That night I couldn't sleep. I stood at my window, watching moonlight paint the garden silver, trying to calm the terror screaming through my veins. A knock at the door. Come in, I called. Theren entered, still dressed despite the late hour, eyes shadowed with exhaustion that went soul deep. Couldn't sleep either, I asked. Haven't slept properly in 5 years. He crossed to me, wrapped his arms around my waist from behind, rested his chin on my shoulder. Every night I see their faces, hear the silence where children's laughter should be. Wonder if I'm doing enough, if I'll ever be enough. I turned in his arms, cupped his face. You are enough. You've carried this burden alone for so long, but you're not alone anymore. I'm terrified of losing you. The admission came out raw, honest. Tomorrow when you sever the bond, it could kill you. The pain could be too much. Your heart could stop. And I would have sacrificed you the same way my mother sacrificed Lucian, choosing the many over the one I. He stopped. Couldn't finish the sentence. But I heard it anyway. You love me, I whispered. His eyes met mine. Burning gold. Yes. God's help me, I love you. I didn't mean to. Didn't want to. It makes everything so much harder. But I can't help it. You're brave and fierce and everything I never knew I needed. I kissed him. Poured everything I felt into that kiss. All the love that had been building since the moment he wrapped his hand around my throat and whispered, "Act like you're mine." "I love you too," I said against his lips. "I choose this. I choose you. I choose to risk everything because some things are worth dying for. Please don't die." His voice broke. "Please, I just found you. I can't lose you already." "You won't. I'm stronger than I look." "I know. That's what terrifies me." "You're strong enough to destroy yourself trying to save everyone else." I smiled, soft, sad. "Sounds like someone else I know." He laughed, ragged. "We're a mess. The best kind of mess." He carried me to bed, laid me down gentle, curled around me like he could protect me from what was coming just by holding tight enough. We didn't sleep, just held each other. Memorized the feeling of being together, being whole because tomorrow I would be torn apart. And we both knew some things once broken, never heal the same. Dawn came too soon. Magister Obsidian waited in the gardens, a silver bowl filled with water that reflected sky. Herbs I didn't recognize laid out in careful patterns, symbols drawn in salt around a circle of stones. "This is a sacred ritual," he explained. "Severing a fated bond requires precision, intention, absolute commitment. Once we begin, there is no stopping, no matter how much it hurts, no matter how much you want it to end. We see it through to completion, or you die trying." "I understand." "Do you?" His eyes bored into mine. "The pain will be beyond anything you've experienced, beyond torture, beyond childbirth, beyond death itself. Your soul will be ripped in two. You will beg for it to stop, beg for death, beg for anything to make it end. And if I stop, the bond remains infected, poisoning your fire, making it impossible to save the frozen ones. With no choice at all." "I'm ready." Theren stood at the edge of the circle, Isolde beside him, both pale, both terrified. "You can't help her once it begins," Magister Obsidian warned them. "No matter what she says, no matter how she screams, you must let the ritual complete." Theron's jaw clenched. "I understand." I stepped into the circle, knelt in the center, placed my hands in the bowl of water. The liquid was ice cold, burned like fire. Magister Obsidian began to chant, ancient words in a language I didn't know. The air thickened, pressure built. The symbols drawn in salt began to glow. Then the pain started. It began as a tug in my chest, uncomfortable but bearable, like someone pulling on a thread. Then the thread turned to rope. The tug became a yank. I gasped, gripped the edge of the bowl. "Stay with it," Magister Obsidian commanded. "Don't fight. Let it happen." The pulling intensified. Felt like something inside me was being dragged toward the surface, through muscle, through bone, through everything that made me myself. I screamed. The bond with Cassian, dormant and poisonous and festering, tore free. It didn't come easy. It fought, clawed, ripped pieces of my soul as it separated. I felt every moment, every fraction of an inch, every agonizing second. Blood poured from my nose, my eyes, my ears. Theren shouted my name, started toward the circle. Isolda grabbed him, held him back. "You can't let her finish." The pain escalated beyond description, beyond thought. I existed only as suffering, as agony, as the feeling of being unmade at the most fundamental level. The bond snapped free. I collapsed, screaming, shaking, bleeding from every opening. But alive, still alive. The water in the bowl turned red, then black. The fated bond severed, completely dissolving into nothing. Magister Obsidian placed his hands on my shoulders, poured golden light into my body, healing, stabilizing, keeping me from bleeding out. The pain receded, slowly, reluctantly, left me gasping, sobbing, broken. but free. Theren was there the moment the ritual ended, pulled me from the circle, held me while I shook and bled and tried to remember how to breathe. "It's done," I whispered, voice raw from screaming. "It's done." "You're insane," he said into my hair. "Completely insane. And so brave, I can't stand it." I laughed, wet, ragged. "Did it work?" Magister Obsidian studied me with those ancient eyes. "Call your fire." I lifted one trembling hand, summoned flame. The fire that appeared was different, pure, clean, white gold instead of red. It burned without heat, illuminated without consuming. "Perfect," Magister Obsidian breathed. "This is the fire that will break the curse." Theren kissed my forehead, my cheeks, my lips. "Rest today. Tomorrow we go to the vault. Tomorrow we save them." Tomorrow came faster than I was ready for. I woke weak, drained, every muscle screaming. But the fire inside me burned bright, strong, ready. We gathered at dawn. Theren, Isolda, Magister Obsidian, me. The walk to the catacombs felt like a funeral march, each step heavy with the weight of what we were about to attempt. The vault door opened. The 7 children stared at nothing. Queen Elowin waited frozen. "Remember," Magister Obsidian said, slow, controlled, from the inside out. "Warm them. Don't burn them." I stepped forward, raised my hands. White gold fire erupted from my palms. It flowed like water, like light, like hope made manifest. I directed it toward the nearest ice coffin, the little girl with dark curls. Let the fire wrap around the ice, seep inside, warm it from within. The ice began to crack, not breaking, melting, turning to mist that rose toward the ceiling. The girl's chest moved, deeper, stronger, her eyes focused. She screamed. The sound was terrible, primal. 5 years of terror and pain and awareness released in one agonized wail. Isolde rushed forward, pulled the child from the melting coffin, wrapped her in blankets, held her while she sobbed. "It's okay," Isolde whispered. "You're safe, you're free, it's okay." I moved to the next coffin, then the next, each child waking, each scream cutting through my heart. But they were alive, moving, breathing, free. By the time I reached Queen Elowin, I was shaking from exertion. The fire was taking everything I had. "Just one more," Theren said, supported me, lent me his strength. "You can do this." I poured everything into the final thawing. Every ounce of power, every drop of will. The ice around Queen Elowin melted, evaporated, disappeared. Her eyes cleared, focused, found her son's face. "Theren," she breathed, voice rough from disuse. "My son." He collapsed beside her, pulled her into his arms, sobbed like a child. "Mother, oh God's mother, you're back. You're really back." She held him, stroked his hair, whispered comfort in a language older than words. I stepped back, let them have their reunion. Let Isolde gather the children. Let the family knit itself back together. Magister Obsidian caught me as my knees gave out. "You did it," he said, pride in his ancient voice. "You saved them all." But even as I smiled, even as relief flooded through me, I felt it. The mountains to the north trembling, ice cracking, something old and powerful and furious stirring from sleep. Lucian was waking, and this time there would be no stopping him. The warning came 3 hours later. Scouts reported ice spreading from the northern mountains, temperatures dropping, frost killing everything it touched. He was coming. The ice wolf, the cursed prince, the brother who had been dormant for 5 years, coming home. We met him at the palace gates. Theren, Queen Elowin, Isolde, me. Guards lined the walls, but they were useless. What could mortal weapons do against elemental ice? He appeared like a storm made flesh, tall as Theren, identical features, but white hair where Theren's was dark, eyes glowing crystalline blue, skin pale as death, ice spreading from every footstep, killing grass-cracking stone. The temperature plummeted. Breath turned to mist, water froze in fountains. Lucian stopped 20 paces away, stared at his family with eyes that held nothing but rage and grief and 5 years of isolation. "You woke me," he said, voice like breaking glaciers. "After everything, after you chose him over me, after you killed me, you had the audacity to bring me back." "Lucian," Queen Elowin stepped forward, trembling but brave. "My son, please, let us explain." "Explain," ice exploded from him, froze the ground between them, created a wall taller than a man. You rejected me, cast me aside like I was nothing. And when I lost control, when I needed help, he stabbed me. His gaze fixed on Theren, murder in those blue eyes. You were my twin, my other half. You were supposed to defend me, stand with me. But you chose her, chose the crown, chose everything that mattered more than our bond. Theren stepped forward, hands raised, peaceful. You're right, I failed you. I should have fought harder, done more. I'm sorry. Sorry, Lucian's laugh was broken glass. Sorry doesn't give me back 5 years. Sorry doesn't erase the fact that you tried to kill me. I didn't want to kill you. I wanted to stop you from killing others. I was in pain. The ice around Lucian intensified, spread faster. My magic was out of control, and instead of helping me, you all feared me, rejected me, treated me like a monster until I became one. He raised his hands. Ice formed into blades, into spears, into weapons designed for slaughter. Now you'll know what it feels like to lose everything, everyone. I'll freeze this entire kingdom, every man, every woman, every child, and you'll watch, brother. Watch and know it's your fault. The ice spears launched, straight at Queen Elwyn. I moved without thinking, stepped between the queen and death, raised my hands, white gold fire erupted, met the ice spears mid-flight, melted them to steam. Lucian's eyes widened. What? Enough! My voice rang across the courtyard. You want to kill innocents because you're in pain. You want to destroy everything because you were rejected. That makes you exactly what they feared. Exactly what you're trying to prove you're not. He stared at me, shocked that anyone dared interrupt. I know what it's like, I continued. Stepped closer, fire dancing in my palms. To be cast aside, rejected. Told you're not enough. I was broken, Omega. Fated mate who wasn't wanted. I spent years believing I deserved nothing. Another step. But you know what I learned? The people who rejected me were wrong. Just like the people who rejected you were wrong. You are not your worst moment. You are not your pain. You are not the monster they feared. Lucian's ice faltered, cracked, melted at the edges. You're a brother who was hurt by the people who should have protected him. A son who deserved better. A man who lost control of power that scared him as much as it scared everyone else. Tears froze on his cheeks. They chose him over me. I know, and that was wrong. It was so wrong. I lowered my hands, let the fire dim. But destroying them won't heal that wound, won't make you feel better. It will just create more pain, more loss, more people carrying scars they didn't earn. What else am I supposed to do? His voice broke. How else do I make this stop hurting? You forgive. Queen Elwyn's voice, quiet but carrying. You let the poison out. You let us apologize. You let us try to make it right. She moved past me, knelt on frozen ground before her son. The gesture stunned everyone. Queens didn't kneel. Not to anyone. Lucian, my son, my beautiful, powerful, terrifying son. I was wrong. I let fear guide me instead of love. I chose Theren not because you were unworthy, but because I was terrified of your power. Terrified you would be hurt by it, destroyed by it. I thought I was protecting you. Tears streamed down her face, froze before they hit the ground. But I failed you, failed to see that rejection would hurt you more than any magic ever could. Failed to give you what you needed most. My trust, my faith, my belief that you were strong enough to handle your own power. She bowed her head. I am sorry, sorrier than you will ever know. And I know sorry isn't enough, can never be enough. But if you'll let me, I will spend the rest of my life proving that you matter, that you are loved, that you were always, always worthy one. Silence, the ice around Lucian trembled, wavered, started to recede. Mother, his voice was small, broken, the voice of a child who just wanted to be seen. I just wanted you to choose me. I choose you now. She looked up, met his eyes. I choose you. I choose to listen, to understand, to make amends. Please, please give me that chance. The ice shattered. Lucian dropped to his knees, sobbed into his mother's shoulder while she held him, stroked his white hair, whispered apologies and promises and love. Theren approached slowly, carefully, knelt beside them. Brother. One word, loaded with 5 years of grief. Lucian looked at him, still crying, still hurting, but the rage was gone, burned out, leaving only exhausted pain. I'm sorry too, Theren said, for everything, for not fighting hard enough, for choosing duty over family. for letting it get this far. I don't expect forgiveness. Don't deserve it. But I'm asking anyway. Lucian stared at his twin, the other half of his soul, the person who knew him better than anyone and still chose wrong. I don't forgive you, he said. Theron's face crumpled. But maybe I could, someday. If you mean it, if you really try. Hope flared in Theron's eyes. I mean it. I swear, whatever you need, however long it takes. I need, Lucian swallowed hard. I need to not feel like I'm competing for scraps of love anymore. I need to matter, to belong. Then stay. Theron's voice was urgent, desperate. Stay here, rule with me. We'll share the throne, share the kingdom, share everything the way we should have from the beginning. Lucian blinked. You would do that? Give up half your power. I'd give all of it if it meant having my brother back. Something in Lucien's expression softened, gentled. The razor edges of his pain dulling just slightly. Co-rulers like the ancient kings. Exactly like them. Fire and ice. Balance. The way it was meant to be. Theren held out his hand. What do you say? Lucian stared at the offered hand, at the brother who had hurt him, who was trying finally to make it right, slowly, carefully. He reached out, their hands clasped, and where they touched, ice and warmth met, balanced, created something new. Okay, Lucian whispered. Okay, I'll try. The brothers embraced, held each other the way they should have 5 years ago, before everything went wrong. And in that moment with mother and sons reunited, I felt something shift, the kingdom itself exhaling, releasing 5 years of held breath. Healing like thawing ice would be slow, painful, imperfect, but it would come. 6 months later, the coronation ceremony was the grandest event the kingdom had seen in generations. 2 thrones sat at the head of the great hall, one obsidian, one crystal, representing fire and ice, darkness and light, the twin kings who would rule together. Theren stood on one side, dressed in black with gold accents, crown of dark metal resting on his brow. Lucian stood on the other, dressed in white with silver accents, crown of crystal and ice. Brothers, equals, united. Between them a third throne, smaller but no less important. For me, I stood in crimson silk that shifted to gold in the light. Fire opal necklace at my throat, hair crowned with flames that didn't burn. Luna, queen, firebringer. Theron's hand found mine, squeezed, anchored me. Ready, he whispered. I looked out at the crowd, 500 pack members. The 7 children in the front row, healthy and laughing. Queen Elowin beside them. Isolde grinning, Magister Obsidian proud. Ready, I said. The high priestess stepped forward. We gather to witness the coronation of our rulers. King Theren Shadowmere the Shadow King, King Lucian Shadowmere the Frost King, and Queen Seraphine Ashbourne the Fire Queen. She placed the final crown on my head, gold and rubies and living flame woven together. Do you swear to protect this kingdom, to serve its people, to rule with wisdom and mercy and strength? I do, all 3 of us said together. Then by the power of the moon goddess and the ancient rites, I declare you crowned. Rise, rulers of the northern kingdom. We stood, together, united. The crowd erupted. Cheers, howls, celebration. Theren pulled me close, kissed me deep and claiming in front of everyone. When we parted, his eyes glowed gold. I love you, little flame. I love you too. Lucian cleared his throat. If you 2 are done, we have a kingdom to rule. We laughed, the 3 of us. Family forged from fire and ice, and pain transformed to something beautiful. That evening, as celebration music filled the palace, I found myself in the East Wing Gardens, where I'd first learned to call fire. Theren joined me, wrapped his arms around me from behind. What are you thinking, Bao? That 6 months ago I was in a dungeon waiting to die, and now I turned in his arms, pressed close, let my hand rest against my belly, where our child grew still secret, still ours alone. Now I'm happy, I whispered, truly impossibly happy. He followed in my gesture, understanding dawned, wonder, joy, fear. A baby, he breathed. Our baby. He kissed me as the stars emerged overhead, as music drifted from the palace, as our family celebrated new beginnings. Some stories don't end in tragedy. Some broken things can be made whole. Some fires, when tended with love, burn eternal. This was ours, this love, this family, this kingdom born from ashes and ice, forever.